Today's episode, we'll be discussing the recent news about Lonzo Ball and his readiness for training camp or not. We'll talk about what we expect from the team. We'll get into that, Bulls Fest, and one documentary, all that and more on today's Locked On Bulls.
You are Locked On Bulls, your daily podcast on the Chicago Bulls, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for tuning in to Locked On Bulls, member of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. That's Pat, the designer, host and creator of the Windy City Breeze. I'm Haize, host and creator of Chicago Bulls Central and Chicago Bears Central. Brother, we got some stuff to talk about, man. Lonzo Ball, later Friday, it came out. Lonzo Ball is expected to miss the starting training camp. He is still experiencing soreness anytime he tries to ramp up. Now, this is after a summer of speculation, a summer of will he, won't he. We get one good update followed by a negative update. I think we even said this when the Casey Johnson thing came out of him saying the Bulls are more optimistic. We said the next update is probably going to be negative, and we got it. Now, it's important to also paint this in the light in which it was reported in. So this was somebody, again, on Ramona Shelburne's show.
Ramona Shelburne.
Yeah, saying that, from what she heard from a source, so she could have heard this maybe after Casey got his information. We don't know, maybe. But it seems apparent that the Chicago Bulls are moving forward, though, with not expecting Lonzo to be ready to go by training camp. What do you think, Pat?
I think that, like we both said, right? Like, it's a left, it's a right, it's this, is that, is this, is that. We keep going back and forth with this, but this does feel a little bit more rock solid, right? Because the part that concerns you more about it, right, if you want to say like, well, maybe she didn't get the information right then, is that KC didn't jump back in and refute it, right? Mm-hmm. So that probably is the latest update on Lonzo Ball, and it's the reason why, I think you've got to start having the conversation, and we've already had this conversation many times, right, about who do you feel is going to be in that starting lineup, what's really going to leave your bench the best set up. And you have to start having the tough conversation about, like, what is the long-term health of Lonzo expected to be? Like, I mean, we're now from a 6 to 8 week injury. We're coming into month 9. Yeah. You know what I mean? We're coming into month 9. And I think that's a conversation that at some point we will have to have. I don't know if that's here, right? I think at this point, right, at the end of the day, we don't need Lonzo to start the season. We don't need Lonzo for the first 30 games of the season, realistically, and the Bulls could be absolutely fine without him. But if this team is going to make the run that we think they are, Lonzo is a very big piece of them starting to make those level of those deeper runs in the playoffs. And so you have to start asking your questions. Can we rely on him as that starting point guard for the long term, especially if these are the moves we're trying to make?
I mean, I think the Bulls also, they did build in some Lonzo insurance. Now, looking at the Dragic signing, things like that, it seems like now they were preparing for if the worst case scenario, and this is the worst case scenario. Yep. And as you've talked about very vocally, very publicly, we do have Ayo Dosunmu, who, while not giving us everything that Lonzo gives us with the communication, with the versatility of defending, or the shot making that Lonzo could do from 3-point range, Lonzo is shaping up to be Ayo's shaping up to be a pretty damn good point guard. And because of that, I'm not saying that we need to all of a sudden look to start shopping Lonzo, as some Bulls fans have knee-jerk reactionally already said, but I am saying, like, we have enough to hold if everybody else stays healthy. We have enough to wait for Lonzo. The biggest thing is we want Lonzo healthy by the playoffs, right? So if whatever it takes, if it takes him missing the first month of the season, I'm not saying that it will be, but if it does take that, so be it. We need to be fully healthy as possible by the playoffs. That's what I want to see. Now, Pat, I'm going to toss it back to you on this. So you've said this, and I've kind of pushed back, and I've said you're kind of crazy with this. But you've asked the question before that even when Lonzo does come back, does he start? Does he come off the bench? What are you looking for from whoever's the starting point guard or from the team overall that you say, or is it just we're going to ramp him back up slowly like Patrick Williams, he's naturally going to come off the bench? Or are you saying it to the point, do you think Lonzo may have to earn his starting point guard spot back. What are you thinking? Where's your mindset?
Well, it depends on what we get from the starting point guard play, right? Like, I mean, if Ayo Dosunmu comes out and he's one of the best defensive point guards in the league and the offense is humming, then yeah, I'm going to have to ask that question. But at a minimum, right, it's also because of what Lonzo is going through and just getting him back into playing shape. Like, they've tried to ramp him up several times and he's had knee soreness. And that's just doing regular basketball activity. I would assume on top of that, when they ramp him back up into playing shape, they're going to bring him off the bench slowly and be like, all right, play 5 minutes of a real NBA game and let's see how your knee does. All right, play 10 minutes of a real NBA game and let's see how your knee does. But I think that, listen, if the young fella comes out here and plays well, and I think that's the only scenario where I could see where he starts off and they're like, maybe we should leave Lonzo on the bench. You are in a situation where you've got a young player that's doing well defensively, offensively, and now even if he's back 100%, you've got a 40% three-point shooter sitting on your bench who's also one of the best defensive players in the NBA. I wouldn't be mad at either scenario. I think we want Lonzo to be the starting point guard because of the $80 million contract.
Yeah.
But if Ayo Dosunmu develops, then none of us are upset about it.
This is true. This is true. And it's really a win-win, right?
Yeah.
Maybe a lose for the Bulls' pocketbooks because Ayo Dosunmu starting off as the starting. Are we live?
We are live, bro. Did you not notice?
Nope.
We're doing it
I
live.
I pressed record. Well, we're doing it live.
We're doing it live. We've been live
wow.
for a minute. Shout out to the live chat.
Shout out to the live chat. I had no idea we were live. Thank God I didn't say anything stupid that I needed to edit out. With that being said, I just looked over like, wait a second, what?
I was trying to figure out why you didn't tell me we was going live.
I had no idea, brother.
Steve-O in the chat. What up, Matthew?
Oh man. Anyway, with that
in the building.
With that being said, so Ayo Dosunmu coming into the season, if he does end up being the starting point guard, which I know some Bulls fans think, hey, the veteran Goran, go with Goran. I think Ayo is going to play well enough in training camp to earn that starting point guard position. That's my opinion. The Bulls are going to may have to open the bag for Ayo Dosunmu, and it may be worth it when you look at the fact that, listen, I love Lonzo. Lonzo was everything he was advertised to be, everything we needed him to be when we signed him. I love Lonzo Ball. He surprised me so much because I'm not a Ball family stan. I didn't watch a lot of Lakers. I don't watch a lot of Pelicans. Well, I watch more Pelicans than Lakers because I'm a huge Ingram fan. But he was everything he was advertised to be. But with that being said, he hasn't played a full season in his NBA career. He hasn't played more than 81% of games available, and that was in a shortened NBA season.
Yeah.
You have to have some insurance for Lonzo Ball in some shape, form, or fashion. And that naturally is going to be Ayo Dosunmu. And I know some Bulls fans even think, well, why not start AC? I think you need AC's veteran presence off the bench, in my opinion. So I think you go with Ayo there. And it's going to be interesting to see what this – and if the Bulls, maybe they were thinking they could sign Ayo on a cheaper deal. If he comes out and performs and ends up being our starting point guard for a large part of the season – he's about to get paid, brother. He's about to get paid.
Here's a question that I'll throw to you, right? Like, and I don't know if I had this conversation on here last week or if I did this on The Breeze. One or the other. Fire videos on both. Check them both out. Do you feel like that insurance for the long run outside of Ayo is Dalen Terry? Because even though we saw it only in small spurts in Summer League, when Dalen, there's not many players that I see move the ball with that level of vision. When a rebound hit Dalen's fingertips, he just flicked his wrist and the ball went 40 feet.
Well, we saw
Lonzo did.
When it started the Summer League and they were trying to do a lot of off the ball things for Dalen Terry, he was successful at it to a degree, but when they put the ball in Dalen's hands, it opened up a whole – I do think that Lonzo not being there is going to open up minutes for Dalen Terry potentially, and we may see Ayo succeed in the starting role, Dalen Terry succeed in a bench energy guy type off the bench type thing role, and then when Lonzo does come back, everybody's going to be primed and having weapons. Like, regardless if Lonzo does start off coming off the bench in his return, just as they try to ramp him up to more minutes, getting him ready for the playoffs, I'll tell you what, you bring in now Lonzo Ball off the bench with Dalen Terry, Javonte Green, Andre Drummond in a pick. Listen, that could be a very dangerous bench unit. And again, I'm not saying that I want to see Lonzo be a bench player permanently, but you got to look at it naturally. If a player misses 9-10 months, maybe a year of basketball, they're going to probably bring him off the bench to initially start him back up. So
probably no. I agree with you. I think it's going to be interesting to see how everything plays out and how soon Lonzo's able to come back. And the tough part is, right, like, now you got to think of your Lonzo, like, in Lonzo's mind, it's like, hey, man, I got to get back. Like, these mugs are playing really well.
Yeah.
I might lose my job up in this.
Yeah. I mean, Lonzo still owed 3 years, $60 million over this contract, so we'll see what happens with that. But next up, we're going to talk about the Chicago Bulls Fest, the first annual Chicago Bulls Fest. But first, got to talk to you guys about Built Bar. If you haven't tried Built Bar Puffs yet, you are depriving yourself of life's greatest joys. And guess what? There's a new flavor. You ready for it? Delicious, indulgent cookie dough. Covered in chocolate. That's right. Built has done it again. Let me introduce you to your new favorite. Cookie dough chunk puffs have a light and chewy texture, real chocolate chip cookie dough chunks, and of course they're covered in 100% real chocolate. All of the joys of eating cookie dough without the hassle of making it, plus it's healthy for you. Cookie dough chunk puffs are only 160 calories and they have a whopping 15 grams of protein in them. Run to Built.com to snack your box for you and the family. It'll be the perfect treat, or you can find a really good hiding place and hoard them for yourself. Like all the Built Bars, the new cookie dough chunk puffs are covered in 100% real chocolate. That means they're healthy and tasty. Chocolate-covered cookie dough with a light, fluffy texture, so good. You're going to love the new cookie dough chunk puffs, whether you need a snack for your workout, a late-night treat, or just grab a quick bite. Built is the perfect protein bar, and they taste better than a candy bar. Ditch the calories, fat, and sugar. Grab yourself a Built Bar. Go to Built.com. Use the offer code LOCKEDON15 to get 15% off your order. That's promo code LOCKEDON15 to get 15% off your order at Built.com. By the way, I got a funny story for that before we get into the segment. So my son, my 16-year-old, 6'1", with a 6'7" wingspan son, who AK would love him. With that being said, he ate 4 Built Bars thinking they were regular candy bars, not knowing that they were good for him. So they actually do taste like candy bars. Bro, he works out 3 times a day. So he needed it anyway. He needed it. Yeah, dude is 195 pounds of pure muscle, and he's solid. Like, we were playing basketball. I tried to body him up, and it was the first time I had to look at my son like, I will punch you in the face. But with that being said, let's go ahead and move on. Bro, the Bulls had their inaugural Bulls Summer Festival, bro. Shout out to Sniper, who we saw there. What thoughts on the Bulls' first Summer Festival?
Bulls Fest was cool. You know what I mean? It wasn't nothing too over the top. I think it was good for a first festival. You know, they had plenty of people there that you could meet. I loved all of the art exhibits. Yeah, I mean, I thought that was dope, taking pictures. I mean, they did it right? Like, they set it up so that social media was going to be busting with Bulls Fest. Yeah, I mean, and so, like, the pictures with the trophies, the pictures with the Jordan statue, all of that stuff, right? Like, I think those are the things that you look at and you're like, yeah, like, this is going to be a really cool weekend. I will say, surprised at how many people turned out, though. Like, while there were a lot of people there, like, it wasn't like I was waiting for stuff. Like, it'll probably be the only year ever that's like that.
This was the first one.
Yeah.
And you know it's gonna be it'll be fun. Like, it's gonna grow bigger and bigger. And you know, the first one of anything is always kind of the trial year, right? You try to see what works, what didn't, and you make adjustments. Yeah. And they're gonna make a lot of adjustments for this. Personally, I think that they have to make the headline, I think, more than a concert, right? I know it's a summer festival and it's a festival. I think, to me personally, the headline has to be something basketball related. Like, why not have Derrick Jones Jr. and Javonte Green put on a dunking exposition?
Because you don't want to risk their knees.
No, this is true. When you're right, you're right. When you're right, you're right. Alfonso McKinney was out there watching the kids 3-on-3 tournaments because that's the only group he can compete with. So it is what it is.
Messed up, man. He made it to the NBA.
Yeah, no, it was cool seeing him out there. All jokes aside, but
I think that was more the staple though, right? Like the 3-on-3 tournament, the dunk contest, stuff like that, because it was just people around the city.
Yeah, you know what they could do? Why not have a live 5-on-5 practice, even if it's the Windy City Bulls for just like 5-8 minutes, something. You could do something out
like
there.
A scrimmage?
Yeah, like a scrimmage.
That would be decent. That wouldn't be bad. And I mean, listen, they all play outside, so
yeah,
it ain't the end of the world. But I don't know. Listen, I don't need it for Bulls Fest. I'm not gonna like the Windy City Bulls who want to do that. That's fine. But I don't need a Zach LaVine and them for Bulls Fest out there. Yeah, I mean, I'm okay on that. I'll say this: Bulls Fest was fun. We met some cool people. We saw some people that, I'd say this: they was bogus to the mug. The second we got in line to take pictures with AK, the line got shut down. I don't know what that's about. But seeing AK and Mark Eversley, I think
it was the glasses, bro. They saw you with the glasses. Something not right.
I wasn't even wearing these. I was actually wearing the Bull Zenny joints.
You were wearing the blue joints, the city joints.
I was wearing the Bull Zenny joints. So these are your glasses. Kobe White wears them. Oh, that was why. That's why. That was the reason.
That's why. No, it's. I mean, I it's gonna grow. It's gonna continue to grow. I wouldn't mind. I know. You already have the UC booked off. Why not do more things indoors? I know it's a summer festival. You kind of want to do it outside. There's rooms for growth with a lot of these things, and I think they're going to eventually get there. I think next year we're going to see it be even more of a spectacle. We're going to see probably more players, things like that. Like the dunk contest that they did have with local people in the city, amazing. Go watch those videos if you haven't. Like they had cameramen out there. They filmed it. I wish they would film the actual dunk contest the way that they filmed this one.
Yeah.
Huge there.
I wish the dunkers from this dunk contest were in the actual dunk contest.
For sure. But yeah, hopefully more people turn out. There are even some people in the city who are like, "Oh, I didn't even realize it was this weekend." So like that goes to show that they need to do a little bit more promotional. It did really. The Bulls Fest did seem like something that they mentioned late last season, right? Because I think we've known about it since like January. I think we knew about that it was going to be going down, but it seemed like they mentioned it and then it kind of went away, and then they mentioned it again, and then they were like promoted like on odd things. But I think that they do need to do it. Maybe they didn't do a heavy promotion on it because they knew this was going to be the trial season. They knew this was going to be the time where they really just use it to work out the kinks. But I do think that going into next season, if they promote a little bit more, make sure everybody in the city knows about it, have more local artists. Shout out to G Herbo for coming through, to Brat for coming through, a legend. So Functified and the Functified remix are still they're Negro spirituals in a way. But it kind of just you want to see things improve there, bro. So
I agree with you on that, right? Like I think there's more that could have been done, but for the first one, I'm not mad at it, man. I think that it was and you know what? I'll say this: just being at the first one, I think that it was calmer than I thought it was gonna be, and for me, like that made it a little bit better as well. Like I walked in, I was expecting it to be like shoulders to shoulders. You see, like I'm talking about, we got a beer in like 15 minutes, like
if even that,
right? Like it took more time for us to decide if we wanted the IPA or not. Like I think that there was a lot of things that they really did well.
And they got to improve the food trucks, bro.
The food trucks was
marketed as the best food trucks in Chicago. Yeah. And there was like 3.
The food trucks was a miss, bro. I'm not gonna lie to you.
You didn't even have a Portillo's food truck out there?
There was nothing that was worth getting for me, right? Like, of course, it's all overpriced because it's the Bulls, and you're gonna up your prices for that. But there was nothing worth going to get for me, food wise. Like the empanada was the best looking thing, and I looked at you and I was like, "Was it worth $8?" And he was like, "It wasn't worth $8, but it tastes really good." That was tough. That was a little tough. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah,
I feel like there was a lot of things advertised that I was expecting more of.
Okay.
Like that's how I felt, right? Like how the pictures and everything was saying that it was going to be. I felt like there were a lot of things advertised that I was expecting a lot more of.
Fair.
And when I walked in, I was like, oh, Goose Island's here. And then like some beer trucks and food trucks and it wasn't bad though. It wasn't bad. It
wasn't bad. Like I don't want to sound down on it. It wasn't bad by any stretch of the imagination, but it was just like one of those things where it's like, all right, it's cool. And as a Chicago Bulls summer festival, you kind of want a little bit more there. But we're gonna go ahead and move off that.
It also was an odd weather day though. It was like 100 degrees and then like 70 because it looked like it was gonna rain, and then like right back to 85.
All right, moving on. I have been asking you 2 weeks of tomorrow to watch this Untold and one. While this is not Chicago Bulls related, even NBA related, I think everybody loves a good sports documentary, right? I think people love a good documentary in general. And anytime you have a title that's the rise and fall, you're in for a story. How'd you feel about the Untold and one documentary?
I mean, felt like I felt about Bulls Fest. No, I think that.
By the way, you look like Professor with just a little tinge more black in you. Go ahead. Keep going.
Okay, I guess. Like, I don't know. Not at all, actually. But
you're supposed to come back with a little more vitriol than that. But keep it going.
Not at all, actually. It wasn't even good. It's a 6 on the joke scale. No, I think that the sad part was, right, like before we got deep into the documentary, as it was happening and they were explaining what they were doing and they were explaining how things went down, I was like, oh, they self-imploded. I knew like 30 minutes into the doc, like, oh, they self-imploded. There's no way you're making this money. When you start making that level of money, you become a self-contained entity. Like, you're making money without trying. And then all of a sudden, right, like, it's just, we got destroyed. So, I mean,
Nike ad took that. Nike ad and them not handling player contracts correctly completely blew up in.
Now, see, that's the part that I because there was a lot of beef between the players and the guys at the top, right? Where they weren't handling player contracts correctly. But I got beef on a couple of fronts on this. One, you also have to understand that this company blew up in like 3 years' time of them really just being like, hey, y'all want to start a company? And so they probably had no idea what they were doing with any of that. And then 2, you can't complain to something that you agreed to and signed on the dotted line for. Relax, you bunch of Scottie Pippins. They messed me over on this contract.
Well,
don't sign it.
Yes and no. It's a little bit different with Anwan. I agree with you on Pippen, but with Anwan's a little bit different because it's not like any of those guys had agents. They didn't really. Like they were basically and keep in mind that the first quote unquote Anwan mixtape wasn't meant to be an Anwan mixtape. It was something that was completely recorded without them. They got a hand of it and then they put their branding on it. So these people were involved and included and they were like doing deals with players one-on-one and not group negotiating. Like, honestly, it shouldn't have been negotiated like a sports contract. It should have been negotiated like a TV deal, and they should have did what the cast of Friends did and negotiated all together so that they all knew what money they were getting. Because when you negotiate one-on-one, there were people who are absolutely bigger stars than other ones on there, like Hot Sauce and Professor and stuff like that. But like at the end of the day, them not also having a union like players do, them not having agents, some of them did, not all of them did, it really led to a discrepancy. And then as other players found out about the discrepancy, and then true, like you have the production team eating steak and lobster and the actual people who are on the court playing basketball sharing a pizza.
Now
it's going to lead to some.
That I think is wild. But I mean, outside of that, right? Like, I mean, think about what you just said. Everybody with an agent did well. Everybody without an agent didn't. Go get an agent. Like I'm not
get an agent.
Go get an agent. Like I'm not gonna feel Roquan. Jesus. I'm not gonna feel bad for you you agreeing to a bad
the hot takes
deal.
in this chat, bro. We may have to get off this and one and get into some of these hot takes. Y'all comparing Lonzo Ball to Brandon Roy and Derrick Rose need to stop. Need to stop.
Hey, listen. We don't need to get off of this.
Like, come
go
on,
back to
bro.
that.
Like, come on, fam. Y'all gotta stop. MC season, Thomas, we need to trade Lonzo Vooch and P. Will for Miles Turner, and stop.
Hey, listen.
Stop.
So, like I was saying about Ed one,
Let's go back. Go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
This man Haize got ADHD.
Bro, because
Hey,
I'm literally looking at it like, hey, man, what?
Hey, Steve-O said sharing a 7-Eleven pizza at that.
That's wild, bro. Like,
No,
that's wild.
That part to me was wild. That part was cap to me, and I think that's the part where like they didn't take good enough care of the players on that front of it. But at the end of the day, bro, like you heard them talk about Shane the dribbler at the end. He's like, the experience will never be replaced. Like it's an experience that I got to travel the world. I got the and here's the wild part, right? Like maybe I missed it or my neighborhood just wasn't with that, bro. But you always got clowned if you had on a pair of N1s. Like N1s were cool.
Like I had no idea the shoes. So the tees were always
I
fire.
knew were cool. The tees, the
tees.
t-shirts,
I
the shorts,
never
all of
even thought about buying a pair of N1 shoes because they all look like the same shoes you can go into the beauty supply and get.
I do, and this is the wild part, right? Like I'm just thinking, like maybe I just didn't realize they were N1 shoes because I do remember that colorway of the Tai Chi's.
Yeah.
That it came out. I remember seeing that often, but it also was all my uncles wearing it. So like,
maybe that's what it was. They made tennis shoes for the uncles to look cool and without spending a whole bunch of money.
Man, maybe, bro.
But I mean, no, they went over this, like the sales can't, like they showed the sales. Like I had no idea N1 sneakers sold like that.
Yeah,
bro.
but you know what? Like that's also right. Like you also have to take into account how affordable it is for parents and stuff going to school and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So like you get a lot of people that'll buy it off of that. I mean, Shaq does millions every year, hundreds of millions every year off of $15 shoes. You know what I mean? And what's the chat talking? B. Daniel said N1 shoes and Dada Supremes had a stretch where it was lit. I don't remember that.
I do remember the Dada Supreme.
I do remember the Dada
Supreme.
I do remember the Dada Supremes. Steve-O said you could wear Starberries before N1s. Hey, listen, I did own Starberries. I'm not gonna lie to you.
What?
Hey, listen, my mama wasn't buying $100 shoes. So
that's
my mama looked at me and was like,
see that I got off good because I was the only boy and my dad is a sneakerhead. So literally he would go buy a pair of sneakers and get me the same one. So like literally, I remember when he came home with the Grant Hills, bro, I was ecstatic, fam. And then the KGs, the ones that had like the fading blue and black, like bro, he came home with those. I was like, listen here, man. And then we got every pair of Jordans every year.
Yeah. Must be nice.
And then I turned 16 and got my first job. My dad was like, you got money, right? I was like,
hey, must be nice. Nah, yeah. My parents was not big on the shoe, at least with me, which is wild. When my little brother was by himself, all the Jordans you want in the world. Like wait a minute.
The younger generation always gets it better, bro. That's just the way it goes.
I was I went through a tough progression of shoes, you know what I mean? I went through a tough progression of shoes. Still really ain't got no Jordans.
It is what it is there. But let's get on the documentary itself. It was a very well put together documentary. And I love documentaries in general. I love true crime, all types of documentaries. And I do enjoy like just the behind the scenes, man. What's been your favorite Untold so far? Of course, my favorite sports documentary is clearly The Last Dance. But what's been your favorite Untold or other sports documentary other than that? Mine's the Fab Four. I love the Fab Four documentary.
The Last Dance
Fab
really
Four.
might be my favorite sports documentary.
Fab
That and
Fab Four.
Yeah, I was gonna let it slide.
Bro, listen, Fantastic Four has had me in a chokehold since. I'm just waiting on the news to drop. They said the casting's supposed to drop today. I think that's where my mind went.
Bro, did you see Denzel Washington signed by we getting off base. But no, I think my favorite one outside of The Last Dance is honestly, I don't remember. I think it was just a 30 for 30, but the one on Allen Iverson, where it was like telling his life and how he like came up through and had no offers. Almost went to jail for getting into a fight at the bowling alley.
Yeah.
Like seeing his story and like hearing his side of it, it was like, dang, dog, like that's gonna be crazy. I will say this though, my next favorite one is about to be the high school that didn't exist because they about to get their own documentary.
Bro, they doing a doc for that. Oh yeah, that's gonna be fire.
Yeah, I
That's
think
gonna be fire.
Netflix or Hulu or one of them is doing it, bro. I can't wait for that, bro. Like I saw that and I was like, Bishop Sycamore. I was like, I need to see the Bishop Sycamore doc.
All right, there you go. I'll be tuned in for that one for sure. But anything left, Pat, before we go for today, brother? Since we apparently live.
Nah, man. I mean, hey, listen, appreciate y'all for tuning in and rocking with us, man. Truth Bringer in the chat, Antoine in the chat, T Jackson in the chat. Haize didn't even know a chat was existed, bro. Like literally, my phone got the notification that said Locked On Bulls is live. And the wild part is there's a thumbnail. The title's in there.
Well, I posted the thumbnail after I noticed that we were live, but I was like, I might as well put a thumbnail on it since we're live. But yeah, bro, I'm literally looking at this and I'm like, why does it say chat? And then I clicked on the chat. I'm like, oh, there's people in here.
Bro, I was like, this man bogus, bro. He just didn't tell me we was going live.
I pressed the wrong button, bro. Like I must have went into the stream instead of the recording option. But hey, I had no idea, bro. No.
Hey man, appreciate y'all for tuning in and rocking with us. Follow me on everything at Pat the Designer. You can also follow us both on everything at Locked On Bulls. Hey man, shout out to y'all that pulled up on us too at Bulls Fest, man. Big love, big love.
Absolutely, man. You can follow me at CEO Haize at CEO Haize. And thank you for making Locked On Bulls your first listen every day. Now for your second listen, go and check on the Ultimate Pro Football Preview 2022, an 8-episode extravaganza to get you ready for the NFL season. The local team experts of Locked On Podcast Network, plus a betting angle from Lee Sterling and Locked On Bets, all combining into the Ultimate NFL Preview. Search for Ultimate Pro Football Preview 2022 on your podcast app of choice or YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. But for Pat the Designer, this is Locked On Bulls. I am Haize that apparently goes live without knowing it. We love you guys, man. Peace, y'all.
Peace, y'all.